The Doc is In is sponsored by Amada Senior Care.
Fox 56 News Chief Medical Contributor Dr. Ryan Stanton is back with us in studio this morning. He's taking a look at a newly released COVID vaccine study. And welcome back from Daytona, Doc.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. That was actually a long week in Daytona. That's
I bet.
I'm leaving again tomorrow, so here we go. Earlier this week, you may have seen headlines about what some of the risk associated with COVID vaccines. The study was published in the journal Vaccine and was funded by the CDC and reported by the Global COVID Vaccine Safety Project. This study reported the slight increased risk associated with worldwide COVID vaccines. These have been known for a long time and can happen with any vaccines as they work by mimicking an infection and stimulating the immune system to build a defense against future exposures to the virus. This response is much safer than the infection response, but rarely can cause infection-like complications. The problem I had with much of the media coverage of this was it focused on the risk without the context of the benefit or potential harms of the virus without the vaccine. So let's hit a few questions. First and foremost, which one of these is it? Would we need the vaccine if we didn't have the COVID? Of course not, we wouldn't. We have the vaccine because we have the COVID. So when we talk about the risk of the vaccine, we have to talk about the risk of the virus itself. What are some of the limitations of the study? Well, this is a worldwide study, meaning it's using a number of vaccines that we actually don't use and were not approved here in the United States. So we need to really pare that down to the actual vaccines that we use here in the United States. And does the current status of COVID change the recommendation? Yes, absolutely. To me, where we are with COVID, with a decreased risk of hospitalization and decreased risk of death, we can actually be a little bit more specific and targeted with weighing those risks and benefits associated with COVID-19 and with the vaccines. This coming up in the next half hour, we're going to talk about some of the comparative risks of the vaccines versus COVID itself and kind of put it into context, because I think that's the key for me, is looking at the context of that risk-benefit ratio as people look at what they want to do in terms of vaccination and potential risks and exposure of COVID-19.
As far as gaining information about COVID, I mean, even though this is a study here, it's a constant thing, constantly learning about it, aren't we?
Yeah, and it's absolutely. And the fact that this one's funded by CDC, wanting to ensure the safety of these vaccines as much as possible, and the fact that some of these weren't approved in the United States because of the safety is very important in keeping the populace and Americans safe.
Okay, great information, and we'll look for more from you about 7:50 or so.
Let's do that.
All right, we'll do it. Great again to have you back from Daytona. Glad you survived the big one.
Yeah, it happens.
All right, we got another half hour of news right after this.
You're watching Fox 56 News. Our home, your news.